What's going on, Coach?
George, so honored to be with you on your show. I listen to you every morning. We have Eye on Santa Clarita this morning, and just a wonderful guest that I want to get right into. Eye on Santa Clarita. Her name is Lois Bauccio. She's the executive director of the Foundation for the Child and Family Center, building healthy minds and families right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. And they do such a great job. So many wonderful programs. Welcome, Lois. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm great and really much better for being here with you today,
Yes,
Coach.
I'm really honored to meet you. We go back a long ways. We got a lot of stories. But today I want to talk about the Child and Family Center. First of all, let's put out on May the 1st, we've got Taste of the Town.
Right.
Which is where?
It's at the Man Biomedical Park, and we're very excited this year to be once again in that beautiful setting.
It is a beautiful park. It's up by my office over at Constellation in Valencia. And Taste of the Town is about?
Well, it's a food and wine event par excellence. You know, probably it's always named as the community's top charity event for the year. We have about 2,000 people who walk through there. We have wonderful sponsors that make it possible, not the least of whom is KHTS and the wonderful work that you all do here. But of course, we have the Gerard Cosmetics. I got to get my plugs in first. Gerard Cosmetics and Whitening Lightning, as well as Bank of Santa Clarita, who are our major sponsors for that event and make it possible for us to, in fact, receive almost all the dollars that come in that day for our programs for the kids.
Child and Family Center, building healthy minds and families. You guys do so much great things for this community, for our teenagers, for our minors, for kids that are struggling at home. For our first-time listeners, share with us what your main programs are and why you're here.
Well, Ron, we're celebrating our 40th anniversary here in Santa Clarita, and it came about when a preschool, it was actually St. Stephen's Preschool, church preschool, discovered that there were always one or two children who just seemed unhappy or who couldn't settle in. And it didn't seem logical at the age of 3 years old that you couldn't find something fun at preschool. And so this was in a time 40 years ago when child psychology and working with children in trauma and all of that kind of thing just didn't make sense for people. They thought kids should be basically happy and if they saw something bad, they'll forget it soon enough. But we know now that trauma-informed situations at an early age actually stay with someone practically their whole life. And what we're finding now, 40 years later, and in our community, is some pretty compelling evidence of that fact. Children who have been traumatized, ripped from their homes, abused, and who have come into the world with genetic issues or with early infant issues of alcoholism and drug addiction because of a mom who unfortunately used during her pregnancy, affect this child throughout their lives. And we see 600 children every month at the Child and Family Center now, at our beautiful center over on Center Point Parkway that was built for us by this community through philanthropy. We're very proud of that.
Been there many times. Our wonderful guest this morning, Eye on Santa Clarita, Lois Bauccio, the Executive Director of the Foundation for the Child and Family Center. So here there's just some of the programs: therapeutic behavioral sciences, full service partnership. You've got a wraparound program. What's a wraparound program?
Well, it's a literal term. It means that a team of clinicians made up of 3 people literally wrap their arms around this family, try to make sure that it can stay together, from establishing where the strengths are in the family. But these are families in deep, deep crisis and who are in jeopardy of being split apart by DCFS and other county systems. But we try to find those strengths that we can pull them together and make them successful as a family. An example of that was that one time, a couple of years ago, a child, the family was in extremely bad situation. No one could talk to one another. There was a lot of violence in the home. 2 children, a boy and a girl. And we discovered actually in early days of therapy that there was one strength. The older boy, who was the real problem in the family, was a runner. But he'd never been given the opportunity to compete because he was a loser in school, so to speak. And so he wasn't ever eligible for teams. So the wraparound program was able to find him a coach, a private a private team, and where he learned to cooperate in a team setting. This translated to the whole family. Suddenly, the daughter was a cheerleader for the team. The parents would go to all of his meets, and now suddenly they're communicating. And then everything followed after that.
Child and Family Center right here, building healthy minds and families. They do so much for our community in Santa Clarita Valley. Domestic violence programs, adult services. Today, being a parent has to be more challenging than I've seen in a long, long time. And you guys come and support the family, the parents. Some of your programs, family preservation, what is that?
It's very similar to the wraparound program. But it focuses primarily on the parental roles.
Outpatient services. Let's go quickly through some of these programs.
Outpatient services is the heart and soul of our agency. That is basically therapy, and it can occur either in our clinic or in the home, wherever it works out best for our client.
Early childhood mental health. I would think this is probably it has to be one of your foundational strengths to what you're doing.
Absolutely. 0 to 5 is the key to all of the programs that we have, because we recognize now early on that if a child is acting out, it's not just the terrible twos necessarily. It might, of course, be everybody has tantrums in our lives. We all do it. And they learning how during that period, these are very important progressive periods that we all go through. But there are those who that is a key to something much greater. That's
the voice of Lois Bauccio. She's the executive director of the Foundation for Child and Family Center. Just remember that name, Child and Family Center. You're listening to Eye in Santa Clarita. That's a segment on your show, George, and so honored to have you in. What you're doing in our community in so many ways is saving our community, saving our families, your reach out programs. I've been over to your facilities many times. You do so many great things. The Taste of Town, May 1st. Everybody's welcome?
Everybody's welcome. Well, not little kids. We really,
because we've got some wine going on there. Okay.
Yes, there's some drinking going on, so it's not a child event. However, everybody else is welcome, and if they just go to our website, they can purchase entrance on PayPal, and it's very easy to do. Our website, of course, is childfamilycenter.org.
childfamilycenter.org. Child and Family Center, building healthy minds and families. I'm going to have you back on my show, and we'll do a longer segment, because the value that you bring, the professionals that you hire for 40 years, thank you very much on behalf of KHTS AM 1220 Radio and the Eye on Santa Clarita. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you so much, Ron and George.
What a blessing to have you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ron. Great segment. Eye on Santa Clarita, a continuing segment on the Hometown Morning Show most Fridays. Am I right? Is that how that goes?
Most Fridays.
There we go. Just check your schedule. And of course, we have this also on video coming up on our YouTube channel probably in the next day or so. That's youtube.com/KHTS AM. Thanks a lot, Ron.